What's the worst that can happen in half an hour? Your child can call Babe Station or they can get eaten by trolls. Welcome to Thoughts TV. That was our rendition of Memory in the style of Beaker from the Muppets. How are we doing?
It's Radio Elsie out today.
Yeah, this is my radio voice and my podcast voice. There isn't a difference.
Welcome to Thoughts FM 93.8.
How are we feeling this week?
Good. I've done my little job.
Just need a little job.
My little
You need a
job.
little job.
All right. I have an even littler job. Because I got a PGTA position, so I got paid to go to a lecture.
Great.
Laura always gives a slightly more in-depth, personal update of her life. Because I always say, oh yeah, I've been at work. And Laura says, I played 340 hours of Baldur's Gate.
Well, because I mean, you can just Google me and find out all this information. Because it should be...
No, don't advertise. I wouldn't advertise that if I were you.
It should be easy to locate academics.
Yes, it should
It
be
should
easy
be.
to locate academics.
Yeah. Well, not physically, just their academicness should be easy to locate.
What have you been up to today, Els?
Meg conveniently changing the subject there. I have been cooking for you two and Simon.
My father.
Yeah, I have been a bit of shopping so that I could do that cooking.
I just thought I'd do a little bit of shopping.
Little bit of washing up.
bit of washing up.
And I've been trying to do social media-y type bits for this podcast that I do. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, what's it called?
I do a podcast about children's TV from the past. It's
Really?
called, yeah, I do. Yeah, it's called Thoughts TV. I do it with my two housemates.
Well, that's a creative name.
You're right. Yeah,
You
I
like
was
your
quite-
housemates?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, you don't like your
What's
housemates?
wrong with them? What did they do?
Oh, I can't go into it.
Okay.
It's too long.
Okay. So we've not really spoken about this show to each other at all. We've all watched it today.
Yes.
And the last time we watched it will have been, I don't know, 15 years ago? Something
Never,
like that.
I don't
And
think I ever
because
watched
because it's one of those, like, they're all different stories. I don't
Alcohol.
remember any of it other than the introduction, like, it's not claymation, is it?
Sorry, I just need to say that it's Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids.
Oh,
We've not done
sorry.
that yet.
You are welcome to Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids, a series of cautionary tales for lovers of squeem.
Anthology is, I think, the word.
Yeah,
you're
so I don't
looking for.
remember. I didn't remember any of the like individual stories, but I do remember the intro bit with the kid going into the cinema and the guy, the little stop motion bit.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of animation it was. I think it's stop motion. It looks like stop motion for sure.
Yeah.
The show was produced by Honeycomb Animations.
Shout out Honeycomb Animations.
I've no idea what else they do, but I looked at their IMDb and they produced a TV show in 1988, yeah, called Tube Mouse or Tube Mice, and it's about mice that live in the tube.
There's many of them.
Rats.
Yeah, they're being kind with that name, aren't they? So that's Honeycomb Animations.
My god. Do you remember that time you opened the door and there was a rat there?
Yep.
I'm so glad. I'm so sad. Not glad. I'm sad I missed it.
we don't live on the ground floor, and there's like a wall outside our like entrance balcony, and Elsie opened the door and there was just a rat standing on the wall looking at her.
Face to face.
Face to face.
Yeah.
Not even on the ground, face to face. Thought it was a person. Jesus Christ. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. So the TV show was based on a series of books called Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids. It was written by Jamie Ricks. That's Rix. So he wrote that series of books. The first one was published in 1990, and the show was 2000 to 2006.
And there was another one in 2011.
Yeah, they rebooted it 2011 to 2013. That was Nickelodeon.
Oh, okay.
Because it was actually broadcast in quite a lot of countries. So they had it in the US, and I've not seen the new ones. I tried to do a little bit of research on it, and I was a bit confused because it goes by various different titles.
I wasn't 100% sure which one I was watching, so thank you for confirming.
Yeah, you got the right one. Yeah. So Jamie Ricks co-directed the show.
Always good when the author's involved.
He started writing the books because his 4-year-old didn't want to eat his food, and he invented
Alan Ricks.
Jamie Ricks.
Jamie Ricks.
Yeah, he
Did I get
he
Alan
invented a monster called the Spaghetti Man, who was like this unseen entity that smelled of like
Spaghetti?
baking.
Oh, okay.
And he took children away that didn't eat their food, and like after that his kid always like ate his dinner. And the Spaghetti Man was an episode of the show and a book. So it's essentially like a series of morality tales. It's like modern Grimm's fairy tales.
I was looking at the comments for some of the episodes we watched, and all like most of the comments are, "I love the moral of this story."
Yeah, it's like sometimes the kid is genuinely awful.
That I haven't bought anyone anything this year because I'm saving up my money for me. But that doesn't mean I'm releasing you from your obligations to give me tons of stuff.
But the punishments are also really awful. Like, they often end up straight up dying or being, like, placed into a sort of, I have no mouth and yet I must scream existential nightmare.
I love the amount of kid death in this show.
Yeah,
there's not
so
enough
much.
kid death in TV shows.
I think the only moral in any of them is don't do this or you'll die.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, here's a particular behavior. We're going to show you the worst consequences.
Yeah, and they're like paranormal consequences, usually like meted out by sort of sometimes
Romany
it's
woman?
a Romani woman, yes, a different one every time, but yes.
Once upon a new year, a time when old is discarded for new and little children make dangerous promises to be good, there lived a gypsy with only one eye. Her other eye was a crystal ball through which she watched the wicked world.
Sometimes it's like a travelling sort of demon barber that goes to different villages and
Sweeney
like
Todd.
yeah, sometimes it's
Trolls.
trolls.
This one, the one I watched, Wellard Will or something. I think he died just of the consequences of his own actions because the sun killed him.
The sun.
The sun.
Oh right.
Killed
Okay.
him.
How? What was he do? What was his vice?
His vice was he lies at school, so he lies to people at school. And
Unforgivable.
Unforgivable. He's very well behaved at home, but at school he just lies through his teeth. So he lies that he stole the sun, and someone's like, "I don't believe you. Prove it to me." And he then proceeds to try and steal the sun, and does. And then when he's trying to get rid of the sun because he's about to be arrested for stealing the sun, he is killed by the sun.
A similar thing happens in Despicable Me,
But the moon.
but it's
He
the
also
moon.
doesn't get killed by the moon.
No, he doesn't. No,
Unfortunately.
the whole world almost gets killed by the moon because it's increasing back to its normal size.
Yeah, but there's a difference between being killed and not being killed. And
Yes.
one of those is that it results in you being killed.
The second the moon disappears, the axis of our planet would start going bonkers, so we would all die. Immediate
Yeah, but they're not going to
consequences.
put that in children's media, are they, Laura?
I think they should. Immediate consequences.
Laura's like, "That's the way I would have done Despicable Me."
Death.
The guy
Immediately.
The guy that narrates the show. So he is the voice of the guy that runs the spooky theatre.
I liked the narrator.
Yeah, so that's Nigel Planer of The Young Ones and Blackadder and various things. And he does he does all the voices for all the characters.
Yeah,
And
you could definitely tell.
You
I
can
really
tell.
liked it though. I thought
liked it.
Yeah,
as well.
he does it really well because you can tell it's him, but it just feels like you're being told a story.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
I say, chums, wait for me. I can't keep up. Gosh, where's my little sis? Ginger gasped suddenly. I hope she hasn't fallen off her trike and broken her neck. I vote we stop, said Sam, who, as the biggest, was also the most sensible.
So he and Jamie Ricks set up their own production company together called Elephant Productions, and they made Not Going Out.
Not staying in.
Just hanging around with my head in a spin.
But there's no need to scream and shout.
We're not going out.
Dear viewers, what is happening? I mean, dear listeners, what is happening?
the Lee Mack sitcom.
Not going out. You've never heard of Not Going Out?
No.
It's all right.
Wow. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
It went on for a bit long.
It was better when Katie Wicks and Tim Vine were in it. Yeah.
Was this between the years of 2009 and 2016?
I think it's still happening. It's been
I think so,
it's been on for ages.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My grandparents don't watch it, so I don't know about it.
Well, it's one of those BBC One ones that have like better cinematography than they need to have.
Oh, yeah.
Arthur's got this theory that the better the cinematography is in a sitcom, the worse the sitcom is.
Because that's where all the money's gone.
I
The
really like
camera.
Lee Mack, actually.
I like Lee Mack.
I like
yeah.
Mac. I love Don't Lie to Me.
He's a vegan.
I know. I watched Taskmaster as well.
No, I didn't even watch Taskmaster. I just knew that. So the show has some stop motion. So it begins with a kid that, like, the character models are so cool. So he's walking through a street, like a really lovely model built up street, and on this stormy day, and he goes into a theatre that exclusively shows horror films.
Squeem
Screens. It's called
Screens.
Squeem.
Squeem Screens.
Scream Screen.
It's got a Q instead of a C, so it is Squeem.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And he sits down, and the guy that runs it is sort of like creeping around behind him, and he gets given a popcorn box, and it's always got a different type of insect in it. And then you get some sort of fucking around with the guy that owns it and his pet spider.
Yeah.
And they talk about, like,
Poor pet spider.
I know, he really mistreats him.
Yeah.
And they talk about a subject that is, like, tangentially related to the story that we're about to see.
Do you know what these are, children? Slugs? Oh dear, no!
And then we come back to them at the end and they sort of round off that little sketch. So that's just like a very, very basic framing device.
So if a new barber arrives at your school, I suggest you keep your mouth firmly shut. Do you still want to know what's in this jar? Shan't tell you.
In Wellard Will, he gets injured, and at the end, what's the spider's name?
Spindle Shanks or something like that. It's not Skimble Shanks, but it's similar.
It's like a play on Skimble Shanks.
Yeah.
It's really...
And he's been injured, very, very badly injured, and he's got an entire cast. He's like, well, now he's odd, and knocks on his cast, and he goes, oh.
Aw. I did see some... So I was looking through some parent forums about this show, and like there was one thread I read where they were saying there's a bit where the man puts a pregnant spider in a jar and burns it, and we think that this is horribly inappropriate.
Sorry, do you want the spider to give birth in your home?
No. But what did you think?
I really enjoyed it.
I really liked it, yeah. I thought it was weird.
I really enjoyed it. I expected to not like it.
I like kid shows with a dark streak.
And this is really
Yeah.
dark.
I thought the animation was so janky.
It was Adobe Flash. The not stop motion bit, so most of it was Adobe Flash.
But it was the stories were like genuinely good.
Yeah.
Sometimes like genuinely quite unpredictable, like a bit tapped.
Yeah.
And you know how like we've watched some things and you're like, oh my god, I can't wait for this to end.
Because you know where it's going.
Oh, no,
Or just 'cause it's shit.
Because it's for 4-year-olds.
This was good.
Yeah.
I really
Tell
enjoyed
us
it.
about the story the one that you watched that we didn't watch.
So it's about this kid who, I think at some point in the episode, I know there was definitely a mention of a gypsy, but I had to click back to the tab because I'd clicked away from it. So I think there's like some kind of threat or something happens. Like it's a supernatural element, like there always is. And his parents, well, his family are moving house, and he doesn't want to go with them, so he barricades himself in his room.
Relatable.
And his mum and dad are like, oh, well, we're going to leave you here then. And he's like, oh, see if I care. So his mum and dad go out, and his mum's like, oh, what do we do? Like, we can't just leave him there. He's 10. And his dad's like, no, we're not actually going to leave him there. We're just going to go down the road. We're going to have a cup of tea. Half an hour, we'll come back. By that point, he'll have taken himself out of his room, and we can just swipe the kid. Like, it'll be simple as that.
Swipe. Take with or hit across the face.
Use your context clues. They were going to take the
get
kid.
him and leave because they're trying to move out, and their kid's being well fucking awkward about it.
So they
right?
decided, let's hit this kid.
No, they should have get the kid. Off we go. We all good?
So I'm just relating my own personal experience.
Oh my god! Stop saying things that Elsie has to edit out.
I might not.
You don't have to edit that out. That's fine.
So yeah, he says the words. What's the worst that can happen in half an hour? You go back, and he's barricaded himself in his room. There's like a big chest up against it. Blah 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 blah. His mum and dad come home, and they're looking through the keyhole, and they're like, "Oh, come with us." Blah blah. This, that, the other. But there's something not quite right about them, and then they start saying, no, let us in, there's wolves outside, let us in, or the wolves are gonna get us. So presumably they alluded to wolves earlier in the episode that I missed, and he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. Shall I let them in, or what if there are actually wolves out there? So his conscience gets the better of him, and he opens the door, and he sees his mum and dad standing there, and then they turn into trolls and kill him.
See, the moral of that story is trolls.
In the name of God, save us before we're both killed. Simon was unsure what to do. What if his parents were telling the truth? This is your mother and father, Simon. Let us in, we beseech you. Simon opened the door. Ha ha, very funny. Take a gold star. You've tricked me, and now we're going to Devon. Trolls! What do you want? A new home.
Don't trust your parents.
So then
Just don't be an awkward fucker, or trolls will get you.
Yeah, fair.
that's it. It's like something about a little thread going through the episodes is that it sometimes does show up bad parenting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the parents simply don't know how to discipline their children and are just as much at fault.
It's of the super
I refuse to think that they are at fault for
not
going
these ones.
for a cup of tea for half an hour, because in the real world this wouldn't happen because no trolls.
And of course this kid was 28, so
Yeah.
Especially like ones like that, and some of not necessarily Well-Odd Steel in the Sun, but some of the other ones ring very much of like more traditional fairy tales,
very much.
and I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I have split the episodes into 3 categories.
Mm-hmm.
So the first category is where the kid has an annoying vice and some supernatural entity or something.
Annoying vice.
Yeah, will basically entrap them in a kind of horrific, like, I'm never getting out of this altered state kind of, I'm a changed person and I'm either trapped or sent away or it's severely punished.
Yes.
Often in a kind of, I have no mouth and yet I must scream kind of way.
Yeah.
I'll be good. I will. I'll never be selfish again. Goodbye, smiled his reflection. Then he picked up Fick and threw him through the glass. Let me out! You're in there for good, Fick. You and all the other greedy children who refuse to mend their ways. Oh, hello, Finn. How lovely to see you. Finn, save me!
The other category, second category, is they straight up kill the kid.
Yep.
And
Or kids.
or kids, yeah. Third category is, I did see a couple of episodes where, like, so nothing really bad happens. And I'll give you an example. So there was one set in what appeared to be quite a posh private girls' school with all French teachers. And a girl has not revised her history exam. So she's in the exam hall and she's visited by a ghost of a girl who died in a fire 100 years ago. And she comes back every year to sit the history exam again. So this girl is, yeah, and this girl is like, so you've done it 100 times. Help, you can. So the ghost writes the exam for her, and at the end, she's waiting to see the results, and they're all looking at the pin board with the results and who's scored where, and she's right down at the bottom, and the narrator. So he always talks in a really gleeful kind of, terrifying in a camp kind of way, almost like the voice from Trapped sort of thing. And never more so in this episode. He goes really hard in the performance at the end of this one. And he's like, what the girl failed to consider is that some ghosts are just stupid. And when you see all the other ones where the kids literally die, it's like, is the show making fun of itself here?
150th place. Elizabeth McGregor. 0%. Elizabeth was stunned. It hadn't crossed her mind that Penny's ghost might be just as stupid and lazy as she was. Unfortunately, though, it was!
Her unfinished business was failing a history exam. So
Literally.
she's never succeeded.
Yeah.
So or else she'd be in heaven.
She wouldn't be going back every year to do it.
to resit the exam. Of course she's failing.
Has that exam been the same for 100
Also,
years?
yeah.
It's a history exam.
No things have happened.
But you'd have thought that, like, a ghost that's lived for 100 years would be good at history.
Only if it's the last 100 years of history and she's paid attention.
And it's set in the school.
And the history is school history.
Yeah. Can we talk about, so if I move on to the first category of just awful things happening to children, but they don't actually die.
I think all of the ones I watched were... Oh, no, actually, sorry. All the ones I watched, at least one child died.
Yeah, I had only death consequences. As
Oh, you did?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, the crystal eye.
That's what I was going to talk
okay,
about.
he's not... Yeah, he isn't actually dead. He's just entrapped forever.
Yeah. So that's the
You watched
only
that one?
one.
Yeah, I thought he died.
No, he gets entrapped in the mirror, but he's
A
not
thing
dead.
close. A fate worse than death.
Yeah, a fate worse than death. So that's the only one that I remembered from way back when, because I've definitely told you both this on a night out. For my whole life, my biggest fear has been being trapped and alone for eternity.
Yes.
Luckily,
It's not going to happen. But I remember seeing this episode and being really upset by it and it happens in, there's one where a kid is addicted to TV and he gets turned into a cheese and onion crisp.
That is a short punishment because someone's going to eat him.
Well, it ends with the parents putting him in a Tupperware box and then into the cupboard. And I just find, like, with the Crystal Eye one where he's trapped in the mirror, there's, like, a shot at the end of him, like, watching his family through the mirror and he'll never be reunited with them. And just, like, to me, the idea that your parents don't even know you're there, like, it was so unsettling for me. It was I was nervous to watch it back because of how much it stayed with me. And then I watched it today and I was like, this show is mostly funny, though. It's actually not that bad.
I used to be quite afraid of mirrors. Like, not of me in mirrors, but, like, I would be very, very, like, staring into mirrors because I thought maybe someone was going to move.
You just unlocked a memory. My mum and dad used to have, in their old bathroom before they got it redone, one wall was a mirror and the opposite wall was a mirror.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. So
my bathroom at home is like that.
No, but it was the whole room. So as a kid,
Whoa.
and your whole bathroom is just infinity.
Wow.
So you see it descend into, like, darkness. That used to really shit me off as a kid.
Yeah,
It goes kind of a little bit green because of the way that light wavelengths work.
It's also that mirrors are kind of green.
Yeah.
But it got better as I got older, but when I was a kid, it was like, just don't look.
Wow.
I still don't like the infinite reflecting. I really don't like it.
I think that's natural as a human, though, because it's
You're
tricking your brain into thinking you're in a massive dark room alone.
It's also like you're being faced with the reality of an infinity, which I don't like at all.
So this is our second Halloween special.
Yeah.
We're doing 2, and this one is genuinely spookier than the last one already.
Do you remember that time we'd not lived here for very long and we were sat in Laura's room reading creepypastas?
Yeah.
And we scared ourselves?
We were waiting for our Indian to arrive.
Yeah. And we actually shit ourselves up.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know, there's been very few. I remember one time in uni.
We were 22.
One time in uni, me and Laura were helping our friend with an assignment she had, and she did film, and she decided she was going to write a horror script for, like, her screenwriting class. And her teacher basically said her idea, don't do this idea. So we were, like, helping her brainstorm an idea, and we scared ourselves so much that
you guys
jumped at something in her room.
It was me, right? So because we were workshopping ideas, and I was like, "Oh, you could do something like this," and I don't know if you guys were not super paying attention to me or something, and I whipped around, and you both jumped, and I was like,
Yeah.
Why did you?
Laura was sat on a swivel chair and she turned around and we both went, huh. Like, genuinely.
I was very like, really?
I was once sat on the end of my cousin's bed explaining to her the plot of the movie version of Woman in Black. And I'd got to the bit where, you know what, we don't have time, but I got to a scary bit. And she
Spoiler.
And I had my back to most of the open room, and if I'm scared, I want to have my back to the wall or like something. But anyway, she got scared and she looked at me and her eyes widened and she went, and I thought she was seeing something behind me. I fucking ran.
when we first moved in here, like not to say that it's real or anything like that, but there's a lot of like noises and sort of things in this house. Nothing like happening, nothing abjectly paranormal at all. But we made up Terry.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Terry. Terry lives here.
Terry lives here. He's not around as much as he used to be.
I don't think. I don't actually remember if there were loads, or if I thought there were loads of noises when we moved here. I just thought Terry was funny.
Yeah.
Well, we live next to quite a main road.
Yeah.
And it's like an old, clunky sort of flat. There's going to be...
Yeah.
But because it's so small, I do not feel in any way scared in this flat. Mm-hmm. Like, there are no weird feelings in this flat because
Until where? reading creepypastas at
Until
night.
we're reading creepypastas at night, yeah.
I went to the bathroom last night. I don't know what time it was, but like as I was coming back into my room, so we have some birthday decorations still out from Elsie's birthday, and one of them is circular.
Over a month ago.
Yeah, one of them is circular. And as I was coming out of the bathroom, I saw this circular dark shape, and I legitimately for a second was like,
Do you remember that time I said I got up in the middle of the night to go for a wee, and as I went back, my room's next to the living room, and as I went back into my room, I thought I saw a person in the living room. And I have a very different logic to Laura, because Laura was like, well, why didn't you go in there and see if it was a person? And I said, well, because if there's a person robbing us, I'd rather just go back to bed, not end up in an altercation with this person, take what you like, we've got contents insurance, it's fine. And then I don't get attacked in any way. And Laura's very much, get a weapon, go check it. But do you see my logic as well?
I 100% see your logic. I get it, but I wouldn't be able to get back in bed without a weapon.
Well, the thing is, part of me was like, it definitely wasn't a person.
Yeah, no, I definitely
Because I'd been awake. So it's like...
it's impossible to creep around this house. It is impossible. Well, Elsie actually does a very good job, but...
if she was going to break in, we'd hear her break in.
They have told me before that I need to wear a cowbell or something because, I mean, this has happened in my childhood home, in every flat I lived in uni, and here. I don't know what it is about... I don't know if I'm, like, naturally more light on my feet, but I'm so bad at, like, creeping up on people by accident.
Yeah. So if I hear a door but no footsteps, it's you. If I hear a door and footsteps, it's Meg.
But that's so weird. Like, we all wear socks around the house. Like, I don't know what the difference
I think you're
is.
just light on your feet. Because you just appear behind
I
me.
do. I don't mean to. And sometimes I'm behind one of you and I don't know the best way to announce myself because I know you've not heard me and whatever I do will scare you.
I had this the other day where I'd gone downstairs at my boyfriend's house and I always make his mum jump sometimes on purpose. But I was standing in the doorway to the kitchen and I realised that she was going to jump at whatever noise I made to announce myself and there's no way you can get out of it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, when you're in a room... it's already a bit too late. They'd have to hear you approaching the room.
Yeah, and if they haven't turned around and said anything, you're like, anything I say is going to make them
Reese
jump.
Shearsmith tells a story about how he was locked out of his house on Halloween night and he was dressed up and he had to call an emergency locksmith and it was dark and the guy arrived and he hadn't seen him. And so he was sort of in the bushes in his costume and he was like, whatever I do, I'm going to scare this guy.
What was he dressed as?
I think it was like the devil or something. Anyway, he said, don't be afraid.
It's not a good one. That's not a good way to
Tell
do
that at the thing we went to together.
No, I don't think so.
See, I think you've told me that before.
I have told you that before because it's a funny story. I enjoy it.
Don't be afraid.
Don't scream.
Everything's going to be fine.
Can we talk about the episode called the something scrump for apples or the Jolly Scrumping Club? Or what's it called, Meg?
It's the Cunning Club Scrump for Apple. I wrote it down.
The something chums. I don't know.
The Chipper Chums Go Scrumping.
That's it.
Right, now that title makes sense 100%.
Did you not know what scrumping was?
No, I didn't, but I was watching it going, this reminds me so much of the Enid Blyton adult books.
Yeah, like the five on Brexit Island.
That's because it's supposed to.
Yeah, no, when you said it, I was like, oh, it's based on Five Go, right?
So when I watched this morning, I got up late because this is the only day of the week that I don't have anything to do, and yet I've not fucking stopped today. I had my coffee and I was like, I'd better watch some of this show that we're recording tonight. That was the first one I watched, and I was so pleasantly surprised. So it's basically an Enid Blyton parody and a very, very funny one.
Yes.
It's really good. It's saying things like,
What a summer holes it was. Algie, his best chum Cole, and Algie's dog Stinker were spending 6 whizzing weeks in Kent, where they had formed a ripping gang called the Chipper Chums for the express purpose of having adventures and drinking ginger beer.
there was Bunty and there was Ginger. And Sam, she was a girl with a boy's name, but no one bullied her because she was the biggest, and that made her the most sensible, and like things like that. It
was more
very
like
good.
nobody teased her about it because she was massive. Dick Stick once called her Sam the Man. And then later in the episode, someone says something to her and she says, I could punch you like I did Sam the Man. And Ginger goes, yes, you're right, I apologise.
It's filled with that sort of Enid Blyton sort of cucumber sandwiches and ginger beer language. Like, it's mired in it.
Yeah.
It's like, what shall we do now? Oh no, we can't do that. That's not adventurous enough.
Yes. We've not had our adventure yet.
I didn't clock the title properly because when I was watching it, I was like, this is such... If it's on accident, this is such a good accidental parody. Clearly not on accident. And I was like, this is...
It's the most deliberate parody I've ever seen.
And it does a really good job of it because it wasn't annoying. It wasn't like cringy or condescending.
I mean, their
was
dog was
perfect.
called Stinker.
Yeah.
And somehow the narrator hates these private school cunts, doesn't he?
Yeah. And he's playing all their voices.
I love
But...
that they go summering in Kent of all places.
So the story
Well, you don't go summering in Bradford, do you?
These
You
posh
go
school,
summering in Glasgow.
these posh school cunts
Good
go
night out,
summering in France.
So the story of these guys is... It starts off like a pretty normal, like, Enid Blyton tale. They're going on a picnic and that's it. And then it's sort of peppered with, like, slightly darker moments. Like, they want to go fishing and one of them has the idea to rip out the eye of the smallest one's teddy bear to use as bait. And he said, like, sorry, Alice, I forgot that you love your teddy bear. What am I like?
You can decide what we do next. That's what he says, like, oh,
Yeah.
because I even suggested this, you get to decide what we do now.
So is Scrumping picking for apples?
Yeah,
it's like...
in a private area.
Yeah, it's like...
That's
it's basically
specific.
stealing apples. Well, have you ever heard cider referred to as scrumping?
Yeah, okay. I didn't realise it was specifically stealing apples. I thought it was just picking
I
apples.
think it is when you're, like, kind of trespassing for apples.
That's
type thing.
extremely British that there's a word specifically for stealing apples.
And they're doing this, and the farmer catches them, and he's holding a shotgun on British children's telly, and he fucking shoots their dog dead.
Yeah.
But just as the Chipper Chums finished eating their apples, they heard a gunshot and a deep, gruff voice. You there! What does that think that's doing? Sit, Stinker! But Stinker was protecting his friends and sprang at the big man's throat. Stinker! But it was too late.
Just for the listeners at home, scrumping is to steal any fruit,
Okay.
not just apples.
He kills the dog, and you think,
that's enough consequences, surely.
right, so they're like shaking in the shadow of this giant farmer with a shotgun, and one of them is like, please let Alice go, she's only a baby. Then they get turned into cider.
Yes, the pesticide kicks in.
Yes, they've been eating the apples and the pesticide
Yeah,
kills
because
them.
they're like, how shall we reach these apples? And there's not a shot, but a frame of a ladder, and next to the ladder is like this toxic waste barrel.
Skull and crossbones, the international sign for poison.
Like, can I point out that there are some additions to these frames that absolutely do not need to be there? Like, in the
This is
Crystal
dark.
Eye, there's a bit where it's about two twins, and one of them's just a nasty piece of shit, and they go
nasty. I
to
fucking hated
the
him.
toy shop because the twins are writing their Christmas list, and he says, I want that, and points to the toy shop. And you then see a frame of the toy shop, and they've bothered drawing in a homeless man sleeping rough in the doorway of this toy shop with a dog. What a weird thing to do.
Literally, why?
Why have
Why?
you done
Well,
this?
I said to Meg earlier, I was like, this is, and I 100%, after having watched a bunch of it, think this is maybe, like, they very much want kids to face reality.
Yeah, but that homeless man was 100% optional.
Every Everything drawn, always optional.
Always
Always an
optional.
option. Always a choice someone made.
It's the way that, so it's quite janky animation in a charming, funny kind of way. And when they had like the famous 5 animated like this, it was so funny. And then obviously they die at the end. And
Yes.
like, it goes back to the narrator, the guy that owns the cinema. And he's saying with like actual glee, he's talking about alcohol on a kid's show. He's like, if you ever come across the 1952,
McCready?
65.
no, it was in the
1952.
50s.
It was 52.
Was it? Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah.
Was it McCready?
I can't remember. If you come across the, let's call it McCready's 1952 vintage of cider, don't drink it.
Unless you like extra body.
Unless, of course, you like some extra body in your tipple. It's like, I'm 9.
They say it's quite heady.
He stored the juice in an old oak vat and used it to make that year's cider. And a particularly heady brew it was too.
It was dark. It was adult. It was very adult and very funny. And I was pleasantly surprised. And there were tears in my eyes. I was enjoying it so much.
It reminds me, I forgot what it's called. It's got a kind of similar name. The Roald Dahl.
It definitely takes inspiration from Roald Dahl for sure. The
What's
books do.
He had a series of like shorter things that he'd rewritten to be really horrible. It is Revolting Rhymes because I remember this horrible wolf on the cover of the book I read when I was little. It's very reminiscent of that, at least for me.
There's a list of episodes on the Wikipedia, and there's a column about the changes that were made from the book to the TV series.
Oh.
And
I want to read the book.
Is the book gentler?
It's
or
a series
harsher?
of books.
Like, are they nicer to the kids or are they worse to the
Well,
kids?
I want to read the book.
you make this assessment, so I'm going to read you some of the changes that I thought were notable. Okay. Anthony isn't shown being turned into a pile of ashes by the bomb due to the scene being too graphic. In the cartoon, the man lets Daffyd live instead of beating him unconscious with his gun. The cartoon doesn't mention the parents filing for a divorce. In the book, the elephant calf has severe bleeding due to the amputation.
So he's still amputated in the show, but not
They do
severely
it properly.
bleeding.
Yeah.
Cauterize the wound.
Yeah, it's kind of more like a dismemberment, rather than an amputation in the book.
The eyelid removal scene is removed due to it being disturbing.
Oh my god.
In the book, Herbert is addicted to cola, but the episode doesn't mention it.
Oh, it's addicted to cola, is he?
Oh, there is actually another episode where a guy all he does all day is like bunk off school and make prank calls, and the narrator says, thing is, he was having withdrawals. He needed to get his daily fix of prank calls.
Is that the cola one?
No, it's not. It's a different one.
I was going to say. All right, Rishi Sunak.
So far, the books are way...
Wow, what a dated reference.
So far, the books are way harsher.
Yeah. Mr. Frankenstein decapitates him with a large axe in the book, but not in the TV show. So yes, they are harsher in the books.
Let's get these
love it.
books.
Yeah.
Let's get some.
these.
Next episode, we're reading a book.
Do you remember a TV show called The Revenge Files of Alistair Fury?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, I do.
No.
It was based on a book called The War Diaries of Alistair Fury, and that was also written by Jamie Ricks.
Really?
Yeah.
He gets around.
Yeah. So the show won, Alistair Fury won a BAFTA, a children's BAFTA.
Good on him.
And Grizzly Tales won a bunch of awards as well, and was nominated for a bunch of awards.
Not the animation awards, though.
I think it might have been.
Oh.
I actually think it might have been
To be
because
fair, it's like early days computer animation.
We did the best with what we had.
Yeah.
2000, pretty good. And the stop motion is really nice.
Yes,
actually.
I really love that.
Yeah.
The style it's in.
Like, it's so tactile. It feels so real. They look like models, but they feel so alive. And it's like kind of like Leica, but
Grittier.
more gritty and more. It's just more
Gunky.
tactile than any other.
Yeah. I think because they I mean, haven't obviously seen all the episodes, so maybe one of them is also stop motion. But because they've confined the stop motion to being the like intro and the outro, that's the word. It gives them like they can do that really well because it's less time.
It makes me think, because I know that the animation style they've chosen kind of helps it not be too scary, but it makes me wonder whether they planned to do it all in stop motion, which would have taken much longer. That would have been so cool.
It would have been so cool, and it would have been a lot scarier.
Yeah, exactly.
Like very scary.
Yeah. But because they put so much time and effort into this intro, it does make me wonder whether they made that and then went, no, we'll do the rest of it another way.
I really think that, I mean, obviously I'm not super up to date on everything that's on kids' TV these days, but via my cousins, nothing they watch, nothing they ever talk about is this dark. And I actually think, I mean, when I was a kid, I really liked this dark stuff. And I think kids are way more able to deal with darker stuff than people necessarily give them credit for.
Well, yeah, I mean, Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, no, exactly. Stuff like that was more popular when we were younger, and things are a little bit
Goosebumps. I remember Goosebumps being really popular when we were.
I remember getting very frightened by Goosebumps one time, but I loved it. I really enjoyed being frightened.
That was made into a TV show as well, Goosebumps,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean the TV show.
Is it R.L. Stein?
Yeah.
They were scary.
Yeah.
And there
I
was...
think there were Goosebumps films as well that are quite recent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
Isn't Jack Black in one of them?
Maybe.
Wow.
My favourite book series as a child was A Series of Unfortunate Events. Right. I still absolutely love that book.
I wrote something for my portfolio in creative writing at college, and my creative writing teacher read it and said, "Have you ever read A Series of Unfortunate Events?" And I said, "No." And he went, "Well, I would, because it looks like you ripped him off."
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, because
Well done.
I read it back and I was like, fucking hell. Like, the way I'd written it was very, very much like Lemony Snicket.
A phrase which here means.
Phrase which here means,
Yeah.
I'm very good at writing.
One of the things I wrote when I was in school, I didn't do creative writing, but like we had a creative writing activity thing, and I submitted one, and she was like, "It's really, really good, but you've written about someone killing themselves at Christmas." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, and I was like, "No, it's supposed to be ambiguous. Maybe she's in heaven, maybe she's in hospital."
My mum and dad said that when I was a kid, I wrote a story that, and like, I think I illustrated this story as well, and it was about a hole that appeared, like a hole into the abyss that appeared in a park, and when you stared into it, you went mad.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's an American writer called Edward Gorey. Well, he was a writer and an illustrator, and he wrote a lot of children's books, but he didn't particularly... He had no fondness for children.
Yeah.
And his personal life was very much a mystery, deliberately.
I love that.
In fact, the first thing on his personal life section of Wikipedia is that he loved the New York Ballet and he attended the Christmas production every year for 25 years. And what he did was sort of illustrations, like spooky illustrations set in sort of Victorian Edwardian settings. And they heavily feature children, which sounds like quite commonplace now, but he was kind of a pioneer of that kind of...
Did you know that, just on the note of Victorian and Edwardian children, you know all the photos of babies from that time period? Most of them are dead babies. Because...
Oh, God.
Yeah, because...
To keep them still.
Well, yeah, it's not they didn't
Kill your baby for a photo shoot.
No, so usually if your baby died, you'd have a photo shoot with it.
Oh, my goodness.
But also, like, if they weren't dead, they're blurry because babies can't stay still like that.
I love that picture of that Victorian couple. It's like a set of 4, and they're quite stern in the first one and not so much in the second one. And then throughout the pictures, they're sort of collapsing into fits of laughter together. It's so sweet because you never see Victorians like that.
Because you've got to go like...
It's lovely. It makes me so emotional.
Smile for 15 minutes.
No, exactly. It's really nice. So this writer, he might have been gay, we don't know, which means that he probably was, right? And I got Meg his tarot set for Christmas. So he wrote his own tarot set and he posed as a reader and he wrote his own meanings. And it's all complete nonsense, but it was kind of to parody tarot sets.
Yeah.
And it's full of the creepiest little...
they're great. They're so
great.
cool.
There's one called The Mannequin, and it's a mannequin. There's one called The Ancestor, and it's just an outline of a man. There's one called The Limb, and it's just a leg. There's one called The Blue Dog, but it's in black and white. All of his stuff was in black and white. You can't tell. And they've all got little titles. And then the last one in the pack is like a sort of black doll made out of rocks, but it's not got a title. And it's such a jump scare. It's so chilling to look through them and then get to that one. And the descriptions of them all...
Don't get the untitled tarot card.
Yeah, they're so, like, darkly funny.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book called The Gashly Crumb Tinies. So it's an alphabet book.
Oh, yeah.
And each letter of the alphabet has an illustration of a child dying of something.
That's the bunny suicide book, but for children.
Right, but the children are like drawn very tiny, like they're dwarfed by the frame. And there's one kid that dies of ennui. There's like some are kind of gruesome and some are kind of funny, but like I don't know why he did it.
Is that one like ladders or something?
Yeah, let me see if I can find some to read.
Well, like on the note of bunny suicides, because like
On the note of bunny suicide.
I was just trying to think earlier of like, because there's a lot of dark children's content from when we were younger, and I'm like, why? And one of them is I had several bunny suicide books, and then we also the other day or the other month were watching all of those cream egg adverts, and all of them are cream eggs committing suicide.
Yeah, that was around the same time as Bunny Suicide, the success of that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What's with all this dark kids content?
It's really strange, those adverts.
Yeah.
Like they're just splattering themselves in more and more creative ways.
Well, it's because their tagline at the time was "Release the goo," I think, or something like that.
And it's also what was it? I can't remember.
I saw a tweet the other day that was like, "It is the worst time of year. 6 months since cream egg, 6 months till cream egg."
What? Now?
Thing is, cream eggs will start appearing as soon as the Christmas stuff is cleared out of the
Yeah.
shops.
So the Gashly Crumb Tinies goes a bit like this. A is for Amy, who fell down the stairs. B is for Basil, assaulted by bears. C is for Claire, who wasted away. D is for Desmond, thrown out of a sleigh. And like the
Festive.
the images are all of like it's about to happen. So
Yeah.
Amy falling down the stairs is just at the top of the stairs. And the child in the picture is like so dwarfed by everything else going on in the frame. And it's a really good book. And his illustrations are so darkly funny and so atmospheric. We were talking about this because we were talking about scary books for children.
Yeah. Because there were just seemingly quite a lot of them when we were younger, but they've gone by the wayside.
Well, it's
these
weird,
days.
isn't it? Because, like, even things like Harry Potter, if you've read all those books, which I have, you start reading them, and, like, the first 2, 3 are, like, kids' books, and then they get darker and darker and darker until the point where, like, I remember when the last book came out, and we'd been, like, waiting for it to be released to the point where we had them on pre-order, so they arrived the day of release, and it was like, oh, can't wait to get stuck into this. It took me weeks to finish that book because I was scared of it. And it was like, I was at an age where I would read by myself, but I remember like making my dad read it to me because I didn't want to read it alone. And the only reason I actually finished it in the end is because everyone at school had already finished it. So I felt left out.
How old were you? Like 9?
9 or 10, I think,
Okay.
yeah.
Just curious.
I think 9.
I don't think of Harry Potter as being scary at all.
My cousins who are 9, until recently have not been allowed to watch some of them because my aunt was like, no, they're too
I think
scary.
the older films are like sorry, not the older films. The
More recent films.
yeah are 12s.
Yeah, they are.
I think the older films are scarier.
Well, like the first one.
Because
No, you can't.
he's going to sacrifice himself.
Not me. Not Hermione.
Because there's less explicit scary stuff. Like in the later ones, it's like monsters and the occasional explosion. The first one, like, you've got that scene where Harry and Draco are on detention and they have to go into the Forbidden Forest and they sort of wander off the path, and it's not all made explicit. It's the scarier bits are few and far between, but they're done better because they're less in your face, and they are for younger kids. So if you're watching them at that age, they are going to be scarier.
I found, what is it, the third film, the time travel one?
Yeah, the third one, yeah.
Actually, when I watched it for the first time as a kid, I actually found that one quite sinister.
It is, because you've got like a killer on the loose.
Yeah.
Or what you think is a killer on the loose.
And like the tone of it, especially when they're like in the MIDST.
Yeah.
Midst.
Yeah.
In the midst of the time travel bit. So like when there's the execution guy who's come to kill Buckbeak. All of that, the tone of that whole bit is sinister. It sets your teeth on it.
That's a lovely film, actually.
Chamber of Secrets scared the shit out of me.
That
when
was
I
a scary
kid.
one.
It was a scary one. If you
Because it's a
actually-
murder mystery, kind of.
Yeah, something is on the loose, comes out at night, people are being petrified.
Yeah, people are being picked off. Like, the later ones are not like that. They're more
No,
like political dramas almost.
There's a bit like less of us. Obviously, there's a pretty good self-contained thing in most of the movies, but it's like as you get on, it's the overall plot that it's focusing on more.
Yeah, the first ones are like children solving mysteries.
Yeah.
And the later ones are like children rebelling against the government and they know exactly what's going on.
We have to overthrow the system.
No, right. Like it is kind of, that's why I prefer the first ones, because they are just like, I can't believe we are doing Harry Potter discourse right now.
I'm sorry,
I can't believe
unfortunately,
it.
I like them all.
Me too.
But I do. My favorite was the third one. I just think the first
That's interesting
four.
because I think the third one it's the filler episode of Harry Potter.
Oh no.
No, in comparison to the others, to me, that one felt the most out of place and the most get to the next bit of the story.
For me,
introduce this character
Story-wise or...
story-wise.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
I'm not contesting that it is really good and I really enjoy it, but in placement of all the other ones, it does feel a bit I say it feels a bit get to the next bit of the story. Name one significant thing that happens in Half-Blood Prince other than Snape dying.
no, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, Dumbledore dying.
Sorry, Dumbledore.
Yeah.
So he
Well, yeah,
dies in
'cause
the next one.
I haven't read the books, and I think the third one is the best directed film by a mile.
It's a great film.
It's its own film. It
Yeah.
has a distinct style.
Yeah.
It's the only one directed by
Alfonso Cuarón?
I'm not sure, but he directed one, and you can tell that it's that one.
Oh, and it's just because I think because I didn't read the books, have no interest in reading the books, the how each film deals with stuff like makes it more apparent. I do also think that why we're talking so much about Harry Potter.
I know,
The
I
one
can't believe
where
this.
Voldemort and Dumbledore have their fight. Which one's that?
No, Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix.
That's
yeah.
also excellent because it's the first actual good use of magic and fighting.
Order of the Phoenix is a lot of people's favourites. It was Alfonso Cuarón. Yeah.
Can I just apologise for my laptop noises that just occurred?
Back to
Yeah, there's a lot of really fun adult humor and by adult humor I don't mean like inappropriate humor. I mean like something that is just like an aside that is
Also, the full darkness of some of the stuff that happens isn't really apparent until you're older. And you're like, oh, shit, they just got made into cider.
I don't know. I was pretty upset by that as a child.
The thing is, sorry to interrupt, the cider one is one of the more, this could genuinely happen. Not that it could genuinely happen, but there's no supernatural element to it. So it's the most just...
Yeah.
A lot of them are just humans
if someone
doing things to
wanted
humans.
to that hard, put you in a bottle of cider in it.
Or just
But-
like put kids in a barrel. That in
Yeah, it's not got, a mysterious gypsy
Magic.
woman.
It was really nice because it felt like the show was making fun of itself. It's like they are painting these children as the most Enid Blyton picturesque, like perfect children, like they are perfect. and we're still gonna kill them for nothing.
Well, they stole some.
Yeah, they
produce,
stole.
Elsie.
Yeah.
But
And I
how
thought that was
dare
funny.
you scrump my apples?
The Crystal Eye one, because it was what, Thick and Thin. I hated the kid.
I
so
couldn't
much.
tell whether they were called Thick and Thin or Thick and Thin because of the accent of the guy who's narrating is like quite Essex, Kent area. So he's got that like affect of his accent. Well, we all do it at times as well, where you pronounce the TH as an F. So what's their actual name? Because one of them is definitely called Thick, but is the other one called Thin
So
or
the
Thin?
evil one that gets trapped in the mirror at the end, which is the thing that kind of upset me for my whole life until I sort of exercised that this morning.
Are you
that
glad you did?
Yeah, that was Thick.
Yeah.
Finn was the good one.
Neither. Well, they're not really named.
Finn is a name. Fin is a name.
Kind
Phineas.
of a name. Or Finley.
Or Finley.
A more acceptable name.
Okay.
Sorry if your name is Phineas, but I am right.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously it's simplistic. Like, one of them's amazing and really nice, and the other one is fuck off evil.
Thick and Finn's father worked in a sawmill. Thick revealed his plan once the huge circular saw had been switched on.
This is much better than sharing. This way we own half each. Finn gawped as half a football, half a robomorph, half a game pod, half a puppy. No! All right, not half a puppy, but half a mutant tortoise. Half a book. When I get to the end of my half, can I borrow yours to find out how the story ends? No! It's mine! Buy your own, Skinflint! And half a walkie-talkie fell out onto the floor. And whose wheelbarrow is this? Mine! Yelled their father. Not anymore, said Vic. What's yours is mine, half and half, straight down the middle. And he sliced the wheelbarrow in two. This meant they had nothing to carry the presents home in, so Vic piled up Finn and told him to get walking.
There's a bit in the prank phone call episode where this is what I mean by like adult humor. He's sat in bed and he's making prank phone calls and he's like calling up people in the phone book with like unusual names.
Does he call Babe Station?
He doesn't call Babe Station, no. And the narrator says he was sat at home calling nice people with unfortunate names.
Oh.
Shall we call Babe Station?
Can you still call Babe Station?
Probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah. I did once when I was little.
What? What?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah,
Go on.
no, I fully did.
Why didn't you mention this in the other episode where Babe Station came up?
Or
weird
like
about
the
it.
years that you have known us. Why haven't you
That's
mentioned
so
this?
good. Tell the story.
I was watching telly, and you know how in the UK, if you go backwards, you're on the adult channels. And it came up, and I was like, well, what's this?
They shouldn't put Babe Station so close to BBC One.
Yeah.
It's not really anymore, but yeah, if you went up, you would get to
Yeah,
the
But you
the extra.
called.
I called them on the landline.
Why? What made you think, I'm going to call that number on the telly?
What happened?
Did you usually call numbers on the telly?
She gets on the shopping channel. And then she's just shopping for
Were you like a red button child? Yes, I want to see the extras.
Yeah. I think I don't remember what was going through my head. I think I was just curious as to who these women were. And
Yeah, you were curious.
Have you seen the new McDonald's ad?
no.
It looks like teletext. They've done a teletext style ad. It's really cool.
Is
I
it?
really like it. Yeah, just
Okay.
as a side note.
I have a suspicion that my dad got in trouble with my mum because it
What for calling bit? Shall we get him in and ask
Well, he's
him?
in the next room.
He is in the next. Would you want me to go and ask him?
Please.
All right.
So Laura's dad didn't know that had happened.
No, he barked with surprised laughter.
So what was what was the
Good.
what was the consequences? Who answered?
A babe.
Right, and then what was
On
the
the
conversation
station.
like?
Well, they were like, "How old are you?
Oh!
Why are you calling?"
Did she say that?
Yeah.
Did she hang up?
I don't remember how it concluded, but I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I told her how old I was, And she was like, I don't think you're supposed to call me.
Because there must be, like, a procedure in place. Like, if you were a babe on Babe Station and a child calls you, shouldn't there be some kind of safeguarding, like, who was looking after this child?
I think she asked me where my parents were, and they weren't home, clearly.
Well, that's
you
a
were
red
7
flag.
and your parents weren't home.
Yep. Either we had a babysitter who was downstairs and I was upstairs,
Or an upstairs TV.
in my parents' room.
Oh, still an upstairs
the
TV.
waterbed.
The waterbed, because my parents are from the 70s.
Well, they are.
Well, yeah, they were born in the 60s, to be fair.
Top of the 70s.
So either there was a babysitter downstairs, or they were just at a neighbour's house, so they were near enough that they didn't get childcare.
What's the worst that can happen in half an hour? Your child can call Babe Station or they can get eaten by trolls.
We used to, I mean, this might not be a story for today, but we'll see. Meg knows about this. I don't know if I've told you. Me and my brother were awful for babysitters. We used to play this game called Lockout.
I'm sure that there is...
Do you know what the consequence for this is, Laura? Trapped in a mirror fraternity.
Trapped in a mirror fraternity.
I'm sure that there is a Grizzly Tales episode about people like you.
Mm-hmm. There's an episode about a kid calling Babe Station.
That is very funny. Not for then, but for now.
Yeah, for now.
Laugh
It's
at it
for now. I've never brought it up because I've always felt a bit weird about it.
Laura, I'll guarantee you're not the only person who called Babe Station when... I mean, Mum and Dad,
What?
I didn't call Babe Station when I was a kid.
Go on, Meg.
I didn't call Babe Station when I was a kid. But...
You just know that it's happened.
If there must be protocol, because if it's just on the TV, people don't always put pins in. Maybe at that point you couldn't even put a pin on things like that.
Possibly
you're
not.
supposed to be in bed at
Yeah.
that point. Kids will have called it. It will have happened.
Yeah.
You won't be the only
No.
person ever who's done that. No.
So our email is...
Because I was going to tell a story about Lockout.
No, I'm saying that I want people to let us know if they've done that.
Oh, yes, please do. I really actually would love to.
Anyway, Lockout. Tell us about Lockout. You horrible kids.
I wonder where this is going.
So a lot of our babysitters were like older people's kids, like 16-year-olds from around where we lived, right? So sometimes they were fun and sometimes they weren't. Me and Sean would lure... One of us would lure them outside of the house.
You pricks.
And then the game was whoever was inside the house. So we'd open all the things. So like the back door would be open, the conservatory door would be open, windows, whatever, so that you could still get in the house. And the game was, once the babysitter and one of us was outside, lock out that person and the babysitter as fast as you possibly could to keep us from getting back inside the house.
Did many babysitters have repeat visits?
We would also have indoor water fights when babysitters were there.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
My God, you fucking gremlins.
It's actually
Indoor
probably
water
easier to
fights.
just fucking leave you there by yourself.
One time one of my dad's ex-girlfriends was telling us a similar story that she played with her brother, like Lockout, and she went to kick in sort of a shed window, and what happened was the window pane above it fell down on her foot and very, very nearly cut off her foot. She has a
Oh my
scar that goes like
God.
80% of the way around.
Fuck around and
Find out. Yeah.
Wow.
See, these are perfect Grizzly tales.
Laura lived it.
Yeah.
Laura lived it. She didn't need to watch it. She lived it. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a good one.
I've been, like, pleasantly surprised by this show because I had, like, memories of it that were unpleasant, and watching them with the mind of an adult, I'm like, it's not actually that upsetting. It is funny. Like, when the terrible things happen to the children, either it's funny because the show is being, like, overly terrible, like we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Or I'm satisfied because the child was genuinely awful.
Yeah.
And they're not real. So,
Vic deserved it.
yeah, he did.
Yeah, actually deserved more.
He deserved more. It was a very like Miracle on
34th.
34th Street vibe of him watching his family without him be happier.
Yeah, that was very much in the category of fate worse than death.
Yes. I'm really glad that you were like, no, we're going to do a full episode on this one, and it wasn't in the mini episode because
This one needed
this
it.
was so much better than all the ones we did last time, especially Spooks.
Oh, well, yeah. Since the last one has gone up, which was today. Yeah, everyone has been saying today that they loved Billy and Mandy.
Yeah.
Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Everyone's really excited about that.
It's a great show.
Oh, big news. We have a TikTok now.
Oh shit! Another thing we've got to announce.
And
Do we
our
have a
TikTok
Threads yet?
is our TikTok is at Thoughts TV.
Oh.
We actually got that name.
It's because the youths on TikTok don't know what it is.
So yeah, we've got that, and because of our first TikTok proper, we were noticed by one James Mackenzie of
Shout out James
Raven
Mackenzie.
fame. The man who was Raven gave us a retweet. Thank you so much. I love that man.
Who else do we have to thank, Elsie?
We also have to thank Tony Gardner.
Thank you,
So-
Tony Gardner. Shout out Tony Gardner.
The My Parents Are Aliens episode came out months ago, and out of nowhere he replied to the months-old tweet saying, "Oh, I've listened. I'm in the middle of it. Great work." So Tony Gardner, thank you so much.
Neither me nor Meg in that episode, but you know.
That's true. That's
yeah,
true.
fuck off.
It's eating you up inside, isn't it?
What? That I'm not in the episode that Tony Gardner's taken an interest in? Yeah. Fuck's sake.
But you are in the Raven episode.
What I really want is for Jake Humphries to notice the Bamzuki episode, but I sort of suspect he has and is trying not to remember that part of his career.
Jake Humphrey, now a podcaster. Well, he was doing it before us, but, you know.
Now.
Jake, can we come on your pod, please?
Pretty please. We'll bring our own equipment.
Want to talk to you about Bamzuki, mate.
Yeah, he would love that, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
We rock up with our own mics, cheap as fuck. Can we talk about Bamzuki, please?
Jake, we've got some questions about the Zooks.
The Bams and the Zooks.
So, Thoughts TV on TikTok. Give us a follow. We're
Please.
also on Twitter at Thoughts__TV.
Instagram at ThoughtsTV. The O is a 0.
And email us whether you called Babe Station or not at thoughtstv2002@gmail.com.
Did you call Babe Station? What did Babe Station say to you?
Yeah,
Did Babes pick up?
You might remember better than me. So.
Are you a babe on Babe Station?
Did you
Give us
talk
a
to
call.
me?
Did you talk to Laura?
We'd love to track you down and have you as a guest.
Circa like 2004 to 2006.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And happy Halloween once again. Ooh. We love the season, so we made 2. Woo!